Thank you to everyone for joining on a Saturday evening. I'm Tabarak. Before I start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tabarak. I'm based in New York City. इधर सुबह के अभी 9 बज रहे हैं on a Saturday morning. Taha is based in New Jersey, not too far from me. I work in for a consulting firm called Alex Partners in New York City. हम लोग companies को bankruptcies में मदद करते हैं. Whenever companies file for bankruptcies, they need some financial advice, and that's where my company comes in. और मैं 2018 में आईबी से ग्रेजुएट किया था 2018 में. उसके बाद I worked for Vitality Capital, a hedge fund, for a few years. Then moved to Boston at Northeastern University in Boston. उधर 1 साल की डिग्री की, अब 2 साल से न्यूयॉर्क में काम कर. I'll speak just a little about what DreamBridge is. So DreamBridge AI is a platform that my team and I we've built that helps international students pursue higher education in the US. अगर आप उस पे जाके अपनी प्रोफाइल बनाएंगे तो आपको AI can recommend based on your profile what is the right master's degree for you. और उधर आपको स्टूडेंट लोन्स के बारे में, scholarships के बारे में, and whatever information that we the time to combine. We've put it out on the platform. इसके अलावा हमारी एक free school की community भी है, and that I'll share a link of. और इसके अलावा our WhatsApp, Instagram, it's completely free. We're doing this mostly pro bono, and thank you to our speakers like Taha, जो के who are helping us further our cause. हमारा goal ये कि हर साल जो पाकिस्तानी students हैं, less than 3,000, maybe 4,000 Pakistani students come to the US annually, और पूरी दुनिया से तकरीबन 5 लाख 6 लाख लोग आते हैं. तो पाकिस्तानी स्टूडेंट्स का नंबर बहुत कम है. जब ताहा moved to the US in 2015 2016, उस टाइम पे तो और भी कम होगा, but अभी now we're gradually increasing, and our goal is to make information as widely accessible to as many people as we can. So that was a bit about me and DreamBridge. And now we'll talk mostly about Taha and everybody else who's on the call now. So Taha is a graduate from LUMS. Taha, correct me jidhar bhi main kuch galat if I butcher your intro. So Taha is a graduate from LUMS. He's now working at BlackRock, but he's worked at Bloomberg, Point72 जो कि एक fund है, उसमें काम किया. इन्होंने रॉचेस्टर से अपना मास्टर्स किया फाइनेंस में. Taha, why don't you tell a bit about your career journey, your introduction? अभी क्या कर रहे हो, उससे पहले क्या कर रहे थे आप?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Tabarak, and everyone else who's joined. It's really nice to see all of you here. I think this is a great initiative. Just want to say, I think, like when Tabarak, I met him. I literally reached out to him because I was so heartened by the effort that he and his team is doing, right? Because I think, and I speak of this from experience, because as he's saying, like I came to the US 2016, actually 2015 is when I graduated from LUMS. A year I worked in Pakistan, and then I came here. We did not have these resources. We were Googling, we were asking acquaintances, we were asking friends and cousins and older siblings, and us tarah se. So a lot of this is really good. These webinars, these information sessions that all of you are have available to yourselves. I'll try to keep my intro short, so that we can just dive into the actual agenda of the whole thing. But I'll just say this, definitely before I even begin, Tabarak is, I'm sure, really great at it, but we'll try to make this really interactive, as easy for you guys to ask questions as possible. I'm literally doing this because I know how difficult it is for someone who's just planning to come to the US, right? Tabarak, his team is not paying me. Are you? No. I'm just joking. So it's something that we really think is important. Tabarak has been through that process. I have been through that process, and you all will also go through that process, inshallah. But we want it to be easier for you guys than it was for us, right? And that's the point of the whole thing. You have to give back to your community. You have to give back to the people you feel are important. So I think that's the point of this, and nothing else. So about my introduction, right? Like I said, I graduated from LUMS in 2015. My degree was in economics. I worked for a year in Pakistan in a bank in treasury. So it was a very typical finance journey. I knew I had my major was economics, but I had taken a lot of finance courses in Pakistan. ranging from like, options and futures to even like banking courses, which I found pretty boring, and just like normal finance courses too, because my thing was that I don't think I want to study economics, because I thought that that was something like more of an academic field, and I wanted to go into finance to understand a little bit more about just the way the world works in this field, right? And just to like, because there's a lot of, the finance is not one and done thing. There's so many different parts to it, so you can just like explore what feels most interesting to you. And then after that experience,
What bank were you? I'm sorry. What bank were you? Was it Mizan Bank?
I was in Mizan Bank, actually. Yeah, Mizan Bank right now, if I'm not wrong, is probably the second or third largest in terms of deposits. At that time also, it was really fast growing. Like I remember, even though I was there for 1 year, in front of my eyes, every single week we would get an email about, oh, there's 7 new branches opening, and like in all corners of the country, right? And treasury in a bank in Pakistan, I mean, for those of you who've worked in banks in Pakistan, as you guys know, the main revenue driver of banks in Pakistan is treasury. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of like hardcore investment banking deals that go through. There's not a lot of like, there's no private equity department in the bank. Wealth management is kind of small. Investment management is also not as big. Treasury is where banks make their revenue, banks make their money. It's a really small team, so per person the treasury output is kind of really pretty big in Pakistan. So it was a really good view, and also that was a time of a really interesting time in Pakistan's economy, right? I remember from the time I started until my last day in Mizan Bank, the dollar rate was 104.5 to 104.7. Like that was it. And as students of economics, and I know we're digressing a little bit, but we'll just go through the learnings that I think everyone should take as they're starting their career. As students of economics, you would look at the fundamental numbers and you'd be like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why if everything is, why aren't my exports also going up? If my currency is so good, why are my outstanding loans increasing? My foreign loans are increasing, but my currency is still good, right? And you would question these things, and you would be like, this doesn't make sense, but maybe it's great. And that's where you're senior. I mean, I have been, one thing I'll say just about my career so far, and I hope that continues, I have been really lucky with managers. Like, I think it's literally blind luck. Like, I can't really put it down to anything, but like, I've learned a lot from my managers, and they've taught a lot to me. So even at that time, my managers in that bank, some of them are still there, they had kind of predicted exactly how the next 4 or 5 years would play out for the Pakistan economy, political stuff notwithstanding, right? And I, as the fresh graduate from LUMS, and LUMS is famous, I don't know if anyone here is from LUMS, LUMS is famous for being out of touch with reality. But I was like, no, I don't think you guys are right. I think everything is great. Like, things are fine. Like, what, and so I think that really gives you, so I wish if there's one thing I would recommend to anyone applying over here, is definitely get that experience in Pakistan. It never hurts. It's actually, even if it's 1 year like mine was, like I wish I would have done maybe 2 years over there, right? Tabarak, for example, I think had 3 years, right? So I think that's a really good time, but at the very least, you should do that 1 year in Pakistan. It really gives you great perspective. It really gives you a lot of stories to talk about when you eventually interview and when you network over here in the United States. Right? I really cannot stress that enough. But in that year, and so my application process, I had given my GRE back at the end of my junior year in LUMS. So even before
I'm sorry to cut you off there, but before we dive deeper into the application process, why don't you just run us through, like, maybe in 1 minute, okay, you were at Mizan Bank के बाद career year by year क्या किया, and including your grad school, और उसके बाद जो US आके नौकरियां की.
Yeah, of course. So Mizan Bank, like I said, was between 2015 and 16. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my laptop. But yeah, and so I think early 2016 is when we started getting acceptances and rejections from American schools. I had applied to a range of schools. Now, but I knew, given like what I was looking for in a lot of these schools at the time was like, which are the schools that are providing any sort of scholarship, any sort of funding, any sort, like just to make sure that that grad school experience is a little bit less of a load, right? And so I remember I had not even researched University of Rochester. One of my friends from LUMS was in my class. He just casually suggested to me, like, man, why don't you try University of Rochester? I have heard, and again, this is why these sessions are important, because this is how I found out about it. He's like, I have heard from someone that they offer merit-based scholarships. And I was like, but their fees is so high. Like, I don't want to apply. I don't think, where have you heard it? He's like, I heard from someone. And literally that conversation, I'm not even exaggerating, literally that conversation with not even a first-hand knowledge told me to look into this school. Nothing on their website indicated that they were going to give any sort of scholarship, right? But because of that hunch, because of that, I was like, okay, let me just send in the application. It's probably going to cost a few dollars, but I'm wasting so much money anyway. Like, what if this works out, right? Apart from that, the other schools I had applied for, not sure if this is hugely relevant, but like other schools I had applied, the good schools at least were, I think in UT Austin was one, I remember. And then I had heard, I had no like inkling of it. USF, University of San Francisco, was one which I had heard that, oh, maybe they sometimes give some scholarship. Rutgers over here in New Jersey, I had heard that, yeah, sometimes they give scholarships to international students. Those universities usually don't like make a show of it, that, oh, 8 students from Africa or Asia or South Asia got 50-60% scholarships last year. They don't want to do that because they want to see who's applying. They'll see that class, and then they just don't want to commit anything, right? So they don't advertise these things.
Did you get
they just
at Rochester? Did you get a scholarship at Rochester?
It was not really advertised by Rochester. Sorry, is that the question?
No, but did you get a scholarship by
Yeah,
Rochester?
so that's what I was coming to, right? So the scholarship that I got from Rochester shaved off around like 60% of the tuition cost, right? And I was not expecting it at all. Like, I had applied, I had thought, yeah, I'll get in, but I had no inkling. And so even at that time, as late as March of 2016, April, I was still figuring out where do I want to go, because I was like, all of this is so expensive. I can't really do it. But once it came down to that level, then it became a lot more affordable for us to sort of like, look at the existing funding options. At a full fees, it just was not realistic. And it's not realistic for a lot of, and this is why, again, like just going back, this is when the dollar was 104, 105. Aajkal, I know what the dollar is, so I completely sympathize with everyone.
And what was your GRE score? What was your GPA at LUMS?
Yeah, I mean, in LUMS, people don't ask their GPAs, so I'll keep that as a thing. But like, but the GRE score, actually, I think I did pretty well over there. At that time, I don't know actually GREs today, how much is the maximum you do?
340.
340, right? So I think I had 321 or 322.
Okay,
so
very
it
nice.
it was like, and it was in both the components, it was over 160. I think maybe 160.
That's a pretty good score, yeah.
Yeah, so and again, for GRE also, I would say if anyone has not given it yet, my recommendation is don't study too long for it. Study small and study smart. Like mera aise tha, I'll tell you why I say that, because I gave my GRE at the end of my junior year. I was doing an internship in Engro in Karachi. And at that internship, I had finished that internship and I had literally 4 or 5 weeks left of my summer break. So I registered for the GRE. I was like, and at the almost the last week of my summer break, I registered for the test date. And in those 4 weeks, I studied every single day for like only 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm not trying to be like, exaggerating, joking, or anything of that nature. That's all I did. And it was the thing about GRE and scores and things like that. And maybe Tabarak, you'll obviously be able to speak to it more because you might have done much better. But the thing about that is just consistency, right? Like, you cannot cram a GRE in a week and you don't need to study for it for 3 months. Itna mushkil nahi hai. Right? Like, and if you do it for 3 months for 7-8 hours every day, it literally just messes up. Sometimes I think things get jumbled in your head. You don't give it with a fresh mind. So yeah, like 4 weeks of just consistent work. That's it. Not a lot of work, not less work, but just consistent work. That's what I would recommend. But like the issue with and so yeah, so after that, once and like I said, that scholarship and all of that acceptance from Rochester was a surprise. So it made that decision easier for me. Now, after I got that, and that was probably my first acceptance, or maybe my first or second acceptance. After I got that, then suddenly it just almost, it's a weird way of things like this working, right? Before Rochester, I was like, yeah, I'm not getting in anywhere. Kahin se nahi ho raha, kya ho raha hai ye? After that, literally, it was almost like a string of acceptances in that same week. So it was kind of silly almost. And then some of those universities, Rochester ki ek bahut achhi cheez thi ki they sent the acceptance in an email, and then they said that a package will follow, which will give you more guidelines on any merit scholarship that you may have been eligible for. Something like that, right? I don't know if it's still the same way. So people here may tell us how it works. And after that happened, 3 days later, they sent that package. And in that package, it was written that, oh, you've received the scholarship. And but the other universities that I'm mentioning, like Austin, Rutgers, the ones that I got into, even USF, for example, their thing was that you accept our admission, you pay a small deposit fee, and then we will send you how much scholarship you are eligible for. So realistically, I don't know exactly how much better anything else would have been, right? But again, word of mouth. So I wish there was more way of documenting this. I hope like with your platform in DreamBridge, Tabarak, like these things are very well documented, right? With real people experience instead of like a word of mouth thing. People were like, oh, you know, nahi, Rutgers mein bhi yaar tumhe mil jati achhi. Why don't you try that? It's cheaper. My older brother actually used to live in New Jersey. So I would have been like, yeah, he's far from Rutgers, but maybe I could have lived with him and, you know, saved on that cost. But a lot of these things are maybes, right? You're doing so much, such a huge risk. So it's all about trying to, get there in a better, in the best decision that you can make. So I think the thing is, like, I don't regret that decision at all, obviously. But the reason I don't regret it is not because I got that scholarship. The reason I don't regret it is because I thought about it for a long time. And if you like think about things and then you make a decision, so you won't regret it. If you make a decision on emotion, on like all of those things, there's every chance you may regret it, right? So just like think about things, just make sure your decision is logical, and then you go ahead, right? And then, as I was saying, right, so Rochester was an extremely interesting experience. And I'll just make an admission over here, which actually reflects really poorly on me, but I want everyone here to sort of like learn from it. When I had applied to Rochester, this I would almost say like trend of finance programs being STEM certified was very, very rare. My program, when I had applied to Rochester, when I had got that scholarship and had accepted it, was non-STEM, right? Which might come as a huge surprise to a lot of you, but that's how it was at the time. And I entered, and almost the week I entered, I realized that, oh shoot, this is such a huge deal to have a STEM program as an international student. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, what am I even doing, right? I should have applied to something like analytics or business analytics, so that Rochester is also offering. Their MBA also obviously was not STEM at the time. And then we figured out, again, so these are things that you sort of like learn as an international student. You learn to be more resourceful, right? You learn to be a little more brave and a lot of these things. Because, this is I guess my takeaway from this for everyone should be, what have you got to lose? What is the worst that can happen? Like, always like try to think of it in these terms, right? So, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा? So when we reached there, in a month or two later, Rochester made a big announcement that starting next year, our finance program will be STEM. But us existing STEM MSF people were like, wow, so next year anyone joins, they'll get STEM, but we don't. And we did what me and this other friend of mine who's actually from Italy, still lives in New York, me and him and like maybe two other people from India, we looked at, you know what, we're going to look into what are they offering next year that they're not this year. And there was only one, I think, new course that was mandatory, which was Python. They had made mandatory like an options and futures and math class which was for us optional. तो मैं वो already ले रहा था, मुझे उसमें already like इन चीजों में interest. So I was like, this is nothing. Like, this is there's no lift over here. Like, why is it that they're doing this? So we went to the administration. And this is not something we did in LUMS, right? Like in LUMS, we were so protected by a lot of these things that we were like, oh yeah, if anyone from LUMS is here, like, we were like, RO ne keh diya hai, to registrar office ne keh diya hai, to hoga sahi. Abhi kya lade humse jaake? Our biggest fight in LUMS was, can I get that course in that section on that time? Because mujhe subah nahi uthna. Yeah, mujhe der scheduling. Like we didn't really impact policies of LUMS, and I wish we did. Some people were doing it. But as international students, you have that kind of leverage over here in the United States, because these programs are kind of catered so that you guys get a job, because their funding comes from international students. My class was like 80% international students. Out of that 80, maybe 50% were from China. So we went to the administration and we laid out our plan with them. We're like, these are the courses. There's the 2 or 3 courses. We'll take them. Just why don't we make this year's STEM? They fought back and we're like, it's all about like bureaucracy. We have to reach out to the government. We have to reach out to USCIS. And we were just like, just do it, man. You have to do it. You have to at least try. Show us that email that you're sending to USCIS, literally. And so I remember I was in Pakistan for my winter break because my brother, I think his nikah was in the winter. So I had gone there, and all I was doing at this time was communicating with my friends. Like, is there any update? Did the university reach out? So until winter break, we did not have confirmation. We had encouragement that ho jayega, we'll do something. We had no confirmation that our program would be STEM. The moment we came back from winter break, I think the first day they gave us this good news, right? So the point of this story is to kind of like, I hope you guys don't do this kind of poor research that I did first. Secondly, once you get there and you find out there's something better that you can do, there is literally no harm, and I'll say this a lot in this session, कि क्या होगा जब ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, they'll say no to you, right?
Yeah.
So, क्या करेंगे, वो आपको निकालेंगे तो नहीं ना, वो आपको मारेंगे तो नहीं, like a lot of these things, no one yells at you here in the United States for no reason. So
Taha, before I think we dive deeper, मैं सबको बस ये बताना चाहूँ कि जब आप मास्टर्स के लिए अप्लाई करते हो या इवन अंडरग्रेड के लिए, so there are 2 kinds of programs that Taha was referring to. One is a STEM degree and the other is a non-STEM. तो STEM पे आपको STEM डिग्री पे आपको F1 वीजा के साथ 3 साल का वर्क परमिट ऑफ सॉर्ट्स मिलता है, in which you can find a role that sponsors your H1B visa, which is another story that you might not get into. लेकिन जो आपकी नॉन स्टेम डिग्रीज होती हैं, this could be philosophy, arts, English, इस तरह की जो डिग्रीज हैं, and sometimes even like finance, अब mostly STEM होती है, but they give you only of OPT. So that is something that whenever you're applying, highly recommend. If you want to build your career in the US, always go for a STEM degree.
Absolutely, yeah. I literally, I know Tabarak has stressed it, but I cannot stress it enough, like how much of a huge deal it is. Because I'll speak only 30 seconds to this. Like, think of yourself as an employer for a second, right? आपके पास एक बड़ा talented लड़का या लड़की आते हैं from Pakistan, and you're like, I really want to hire this person. Now, एक बंदा है जिसके पास 1 साल है मेरे पास United States में. If he gets the H1B, which is a lottery, I think things are changing very rapidly, so we can obviously talk about that. But until today, H1B is a lottery. आप एक go मिल रहा है उस lottery में. 1/3 आपका, अगर मैं rough numbers दे रहा हूँ तबारक, right? 1/3 आपका chance है to get into that lottery, 33%. दूसरा एक बंदा है जिसके पास उसी lottery में 3 goes है, right? You have 3 goes in the same lottery. So every year, your chances of getting it, if you don't get the first year, कोई बात नहीं. Second year, कोई बात नहीं. तीसरे साल में, a lot of people do get it, right? तीसरे साल में भी नहीं मिला, a lot of it is down to your luck, which I'll touch on a lot in this session. Like, a lot of it is down to your luck in the US. But you really, if you want to build your career in the US, as Tabarak said, and you are an international student, I really cannot stress enough the importance of a STEM program. And these things universities are really advertising, because what does it do? It attracts you guys, attracts international students, and rightly so, right? So yeah, definitely that's a huge deal. I should have actually obviously given an introduction of what a STEM and stuff is, but I know a lot of people here, I'm sure already know
They're already
that.
aware, yeah.
A lot of people in Pakistan are now much more aware than we were.
Taha, I have a lot of questions from you.
Yeah.
So why don't we touch on back to school. एक मिनट में बताना है कि पहली नौकरी क्या थी और कैसे लगी.
Very interesting, right? A lot of people have talked about Trump administration, kitna mushkil hai. I mean, to be frank over here, mine was the first Trump administration. We had really no clue what was going to happen. They had said they're going to cancel all H-1Bs in like a campaign speech. So I was like really scared. And my thing was, and a lot of companies, like we were interviewing, not just me, I'm one of them, but we were interviewing in really big firms. I'm not going to take names over here, but really big firms. Last round में जाके पता चलता था कि यार इस साल we are so scared of what the administration will do, we won't sponsor, so we're not hiring anyone international. Companies who were pro sponsorship, advertised pro visa sponsorship, were not doing it. Yeah, and they were like, we'll just watch for like 6-8 months of what anything happens. So my first job actually was I reached out to, again, extended family, every single person. I'll go into that process a little bit more. And then somehow someone gave me a contact of a person who lives in Jersey City, works in this firm called Citco Fund Services, right? Which basically offers services to hedge funds, such as accounting services, such as risk analysis. So they're not a hedge fund themselves, but they're offering those services to someone. And because it was the first year of the Trump admin, I was very scared. I was like, I'll just take any job, basically, at the time, right? And so I started. So they said, oh, but we don't have any space in Jersey City or New York or any of these offices. Our only space, we have one internship space, by the way, in Charlotte, North Carolina. I didn't know a soul in Charlotte, North Carolina. I still don't know anyone. But I went there. I was like, I'll take it, right? And this was a month or two before my graduation. Because my thing was, even though it's Charlotte, even though it's not my ideal company, even though it's not even a full-time job right now, it's an internship. They might convert it later on. I wanted to get that foot in the door in the United States. Getting your first job is the hardest job you'll do in the United States, right? And so I got that. I landed there in Charlotte, drove there actually, and then I would say I worked so fund accounting. So then I moved into risk analyst positions, a little more aligned with my background, and then 6-8 months later, that's when I started applying otherwise, because I knew this was not a place I want to stay for a long time. And even in terms of visa sponsorship, their thing was, yeah, oh, you're a STEM person, so you have 3 years, right? So for the first year, we won't sponsor you in the lottery, but might we do in the second year, maybe we will do it. It was that kind of arrangement, and so it was very lucky that stuff worked out in the way it did, right?
Yeah. This Taha, how helpful was your school? और जो लोग इस साल masters करने आ रहे हैं, what can they do to maximize the resources within the school? पहली नौकरी लगने में स्कूल ने, I was at Northeastern University. तो Northeastern में मेरे प्रोग्राम में ऐसे होता है कि मुझे लग रहा था कि हर प्रोग्राम के कुछ टारगेट कंपनीज के कुछ टारगेट प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं. मेरा नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न के बिजनेस एनालिटिक्स हमें कोई हायर करने कैंपस पे नहीं आता था, बट आई न्यू कि नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न के अंडरग्रेड को हायर करने बहुत सी कंपनीज आती थी. सो आई यूज्ड टू गो इवन अंडरग्रेड के सेशंस में जस्ट टू फाइंड आउट कि कौन लोग हैं, एंड सो दैट आई कैन टॉक टू देम आफ्टरवर्ड्स. एंड देन इन माय केस something good that was worked out for me was that I was in Boston में था, MIT था, तो मैं उनकी कॉन्फ्रेंसेस पे जाता था, CFA Society Boston की जाता था. So what were you doing? Maybe like in a minute that you can share with us, कि Rochester में what resources were you using?
I mean, yeah, another thing that you guys should do research on. Rochester says Rochester, New York, if you Google it right now, right? Rochester is 5 hours from the city, 5 to 6 hour drives north. It's actually much closer to Canada than it is to New York City. So obviously for you, and that was a huge disadvantage. I used to come to New York a lot for networking, for all these events, but I had to come here Rochester's population, I don't know, someone might Google it, it's probably 1.5, 1.5 lakh ki hogi. A lot of those people are, there's high unemployment over there. These two really good schools, but it's not a great place to like start your career for, especially for international student. People there haven't heard of H1Bs, right? So what you're doing over there is you're utilizing whatever you can from your university. Our university at that time, I've heard it's gotten better, but like at that time left a lot to be desired in terms of reaching out. We as the students, so this is one thing I really want to stress. If you go to a school as an international student, you have the ability to take the lead. You have that ability to tell your office of administration, like student administration, graduate school office, कि यार ये event हो रहा है New York में, why aren't we going there? This is an event for people like us. We literally went to an event just like that. Okay, we showed the brochure to one of our admins, and she had no clue about it. And we were like, we want you to arrange the bus. We'll pay for it. We're like, we'll pay some of it. And then so we split the cost with the school. We paid like 40, 50 bucks. They paid the rest of the 40, 50. And we came here to New York. And we met those interesting people who, a lot of them were Pakistanis also. Who were like, working in other companies like Deloitte and Moody's and a lot of these big companies here in New York. And so that initiative has to come from you. Like what Tabarak is describing, like he went to these conferences in MIT and Boston. No one was telling you, hey, Tabarak, we really want you to come to this conference. I don't think there was, no one really cares about international students us tarah se at an individual level. Your resourcefulness and your like kind of almost drive to be like, no, I really want to give my 100% over here, right? Things, a lot of people say this, like things may or may not work out. At the end, you have to give your 110% here in the US to like be to go in that direction. So that's what I was doing. I was looking at every single event, working with your peers, like, so make friends. I know your friends just by default will be international students, but make friends with international students who have your mindset. कि यार नहीं, मेरे पास disadvantages हैं, मैं रॉचेस्टर में हूँ, मैं सब चीजों से दूर हूँ, but like मुझे फिर भी अपने आप को best support करना है, अपने आप को best तरीके से करना है. Talk to your alumni who are also from Rochester international students, right? Like what did you guys do? How did you guys approach this?
Yeah.
What is your way of doing it? Right, so that's literally it. Like there's no science to it. It's about you just being driven to do these things.
Yeah. So Taha, in 1 minute, can you give us your story of how you transitioned into Bloomberg? पहली नौकरी थी Charlotte में. उसके बाद your second job was at Bloomberg. So
yeah.
Number one, what exactly were you doing there, और ये job लगी कैसे?
Good. So when I reached Charlotte, a month or two later, I realized that no matter what this company does for me, I want to move to a better role, because I was very like also scared of the fact that they might not do sponsorship and phir kya hoga, a lot of those things. So I started applying and networking immediately as I was at the company. You don't have to be unemployed to network, right? So I would come back home 6 to 7 p.m. and I would start making a list of who do I reach out to. By the way, that's not when I started networking. I started networking in the second month I landed at Rochester, and that's something I really want people to take away. Like, to network as soon as you land. Actually, even before you land. There is no earlier. There's no late time. There's always late in networking. There's never early. Right, so start immediately. And by the time I had got to Charlotte, I already had connections, people who I'd never met, but I knew them from LinkedIn on my conversations, sending them jobs, getting rejected for those jobs. So, and a lot of these things, so they knew me, and they knew that, okay, this guy probably likes to, push himself, and so we'll find a role for him. So even with Bloomberg, talking to people in my family, like, oh, do you know this person? Do you not know this? Can you look out for me over here? Like, I'm applying to New Jersey, I'm applying to New York, I'm applying to a lot of these places. So it was literally that, like a connection of a connection. A guy I had no idea about, I found out, oh, he works in Bloomberg. Do you want to work here? If you want to look for roles. And I was like, yes, here's a Pakistani American guy, not Pakistani like us, but Pakistani American. And that's the only connection. Like, I was like, okay, maybe that in that way I'll connect with him. So I was like, yeah, this is the role. And he was like, yeah, I'm happy to refer you, let's see how it goes. It's not my department, but let's see how it goes. And he referred me, and Bloomberg, I mean, I'll speak very highly of Bloomberg. It's a really good place to start your career. They have a really good referral policy also. Like if you refer in Bloomberg, 8 or 9 times out of 10, you'll get that first interview. In other companies, 8 or 9 times out of 10, you don't, your referral gets lost in all the other referrals. So Bloomberg is pretty good with that. And surprisingly, I then got that interview through that referral. First HR wala hua, where she asked me my status. Okay, international student. Yeah, we're sponsoring for this role, blah, blah, blah. Chalo, theek hai, karte hain. And then they had like, I think 3 more rounds of interviews. One of them went horribly, but that was apparently, in my opinion, went horribly, but it actually worked out very well. And so that's how I got that job. Now, Bloomberg, if you said, describing the role, Bloomberg's it's a really good company, but they don't do role titles so well. So they don't really define your role title. It really depends on what projects you're doing. If you're part of the data team, like I was called a data analyst. But when you went there, they were like, all right, so do you like finance heavy stuff? Do you like tech heavy stuff? What do you like? We'll put you on that project, right? I was like, my background is in finance, but I'm noticing that the growth in the United States and everywhere else, it is like you need to have those technical skills. So I was like, I'll do a little bit of both. Is that possible? And they were like, sure, great, very possible. So, but again, a lot of it is on you to take that initiative and be like, you know what, मैं जाके चीज learn करूँगा. हाँ, मैंने पाइथन बस बेसिक लेवल पे थोड़ा बहुत सीखा हुआ है, एग्जाम क्लियर किया हुआ है उसका, बट उसको रियल प्रोजेक्ट में कैसे करते हैं, राइट? So you have to do it. You have to put in those extra hours. And so a good company obviously helps, but until you're not doing it, it wouldn't do anything for you, right? So like I said, first job, complete networking. Second job, also networking. Now that doesn't mean I wasn't blind applying online. I think that's always a great thing to do. I know people who have gotten these lucky interviews just by online applications, but 9.5 times out of 10, those applications may just end up nowhere. That is not a discouragement to anyone who's listening. I don't want to say that, oh, online applications na karo. What I'm saying is that those were almost like second nature for me. Like I'm literally coming back from my class, Rochester में, I remember, मेरे पास लैपटॉप होता था, वो बस कभी डिले हो गई तो मैं लैपटॉप में बैठा हुआ हूँ, मेरे पास 5 मिनट है, इन 5 मिनट में मैं कितनी कंपनीज में अप्लाई कर सकता हूँ. मैं तो लैपटॉप खोला और दो तीन की जल्दी ऑनलाइन एप्लीकेशंस. आई हैड अ रेज्यूमे सेट फॉर डिफरेंट रोल्स. ओ ये रिस्क एनालिस्ट रोल की रेज्यूमे है, ये फाइनेंशियल एनालिस्ट की है, भेज दो, क्या होगा, राइट? रिजेक्ट हो गए ना आप. एंड अगेन आई कम बैक टू माय फेवरेट फ्रेज, व्हाट्स द वर्स्ट दैट कैन हैपन? That guy is not going to reject you. There's literally no downside to over applying. If anyone tells you there is a downside, they're lying. Like there is no downside to it. And like I said, I didn't get any interviews through that, but I know my own friends, international students, at least 3 of them actually, who I still know, who got interviews through these blind online applications. So even if one of them is getting it, I still think it's worth applying to that.
Yeah, and iske alawa, so what exactly are you doing now at BlackRock? Or how did you get your BlackRock role?
I'll again speak to that, right? So starting off as a data analyst in Bloomberg, 1 year later, I remember there was a big restructuring in Bloomberg. Bloomberg doesn't do a lot of layoffs and restructuring, but they did at that time, where it was advantageous for us as young people, because they were letting a lot of their old timers go. Unko severance packages deke 20-30 years of service ke baad, because they want to replace them with us, like new, more tech savvy, more like data people. So at the time, my manager was like, you know what, there's this product in Bloomberg. Bloomberg has a terminal. Whoever has worked in banks, they would know about Bloomberg's main product. It's a Bloomberg terminal. Every bank in the world uses it. I use it in Mizan Bank, so it's everywhere, right? And over there, he's like, this product, people want. There's no full-time employee on it because everyone has been let go. It's fallen into my lap of the restructuring. Do you want to take a stab at it? To manage this product on your own. No one uses it. It's not, clients don't like it, but just do something with it. It might help you. And I dived into it because I was like, you know what, this just gives me so much freedom to just do whatever, right? There's no client expectations. My manager has an expectation that what are you doing? So I'll give him a plan, and he was very happy with it. And so I started doing that. And then I got into product management, actually. Product management is basically just like, in a small summary, it's like you have this small part of the company, like a product, I should say. And you are kind of the CEO of that, because you are overseeing what work the engineers are doing on it. You're overseeing the designers, the market, the QA team are doing on it, and you have to be that point person, but you are also responsible if something goes bad. If there's a technical glitch, bug in that product, no one's going to catch the engineer. People are going to come to you. So it's a high responsibility, hands-on role. And so I was doing that. I was literally like, I had no engineering resources. So a lot of those things I was learning myself. Like, how do I, fix database issues? Never had done that before. No one taught me before. But just to like be that person who's like kind of willing to do that. So that's where my journey in product management started. And that's what I've been doing on off, or actually pretty much the same way in different types of roles. Product management, as you guys know, is very, very, as you can guess, actually, it's very diverse. You can be very non-technical. You can be super technical. I've done both. I'm more technical, I think, than non-technical, actually. And then a year later, I think that product really got a big boost, not because of me, but because COVID happened. And a lot of people started wanting to use that product. And then when that happens, a lot of the whole senior management is like, oh, how many engineers do you need? How many designers do you need? Let's start working on it. Let's make it better. Let's start delivering on client expectations. So that stuff was really, and then after that, I went to Point72, which is a hedge fund, one of the biggest here in the US. And that role was also, at that time we were building this thing called a platform product. So we're building it for our internal Point72 users to come in and use all of their data, all of their analytics, all of their AI, and we were the ones who were supplying that data, that analytics, that AI to the rest of the firm, instead of them having to like individually go out and get data sets and all of those things. And that's when I learned about platform data. Platforms are actually very vast thing. And if you'll do a session on that, I'll also jump in it in a few months. But obviously it's a very specific part. And this company called Databricks, which I think everyone should know about, if they come to the US, it's a huge up and coming company. That's where we built our data platform, on Databricks. And it's a really great thing to know as even a concept. That job also, by the way, so at that time, I remember my visa issues were in a better state. But at that time, the market was really good in the US. I don't know, Tabarak, you had probably not landed, or maybe you had just landed. It was like the period of the great post-COVID resignation, right? Yeah. Like companies were hiring, giving really big salary bumps. And so a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn and said that, hey, I'm recruiting for this firm. Your background seems nice. Are you interested? Seemed like a scam email, right? A scam message on LinkedIn. And I didn't respond to it for 2 days. And the third day, I was like, you know what? Let me just talk to him. What's the worst that can happen? He's not going to get my credit card details, right? So let me just ask him. And I did ask him. And it turned out it was not a scam. And interviews were tough. There were 3 or 4 rounds. But, it was fine. Like at the end of the day, it worked out. This BlackRock role, which is very... also product management, very, very, actually, I should say, typical product management, is something I got also through networking. Reached out to a guy I knew in BlackRock, even at this stage, when like Allah ka shukar, no visa issues are there. You need that networking, right? And I reached out to him and I asked him, like, dude, I see this role in your team. He's like, referrals generally don't work well in BlackRock, but you know what? What's the harm? Again, coming back to it, what's the worst that can happen, right? So let's just try for it. But that referral did work out. That manager was interested. She interviewed me. She said, you're really good. We want this experience. Went through another 2-3 rounds of grueling interviews. And again, interviews is a whole different ball game, I would say. But as international students, don't worry so much right now about interviews. Interviews, if you are worrying about interviews, I would say it's a privilege to worry about interviews. I really think so. What you need to worry about is, how do I get my foot in that door? How do I get my first interview with an HR person, right?
Yeah. I think interview milega kaise should be a bigger worry than
exactly. Exactly. That is should be your biggest worry is ke yaar mujhse koi kyun baat karega? What stands out in my profile? Is it? Exactly.
And just to add to that, Taha, I'm sorry, is that ke jo bhi hum log, we talk a lot about networking, logon se baat karna, reach out karna, but all those reach outs are also kind of interviews. when you're if I'm talking to you, Taha, so I treat that as an interview guide. Maybe this guy is hiring on his team in BlackRock. Yeah, maybe अगर मैं किसी और से बात कर रहा हूँ, I'm a fresh graduate. Maybe this person knows anyone, and if I'm able to impress this guy, he might be able to put in a good word for me. या कल को ये खुद ये ना कहे कि यार this person, this boy or girl is not good enough. Why would I recommend this person? So I think treating each conversation like an interview is a hack that we should
Absolutely.
all master.
And I think the other thing you said, Tabarak, when you reached out. So I'll tell you how I got my first interview, right? I was barely 2 months into my graduate school. So I consider myself privileged. The Trump administration was about to start. So I got to the last round. And the last round, usually they hire 3 or 4 people from a group of 10. That year they hired just one and said, this is we only are hiring American citizens this time. And yeah, so things didn't work out, but I'm still so grateful that interview happened and that whole process happened. It gave me such a good insight. I reached out to this guy who was a LUMS graduate, older than me, but used to be in Rochester. And I asked him that, hey, you work, he used to work, I still remember, now he doesn't work there. And so I don't want to obviously take names and spam anyone's LinkedIn, but he used to work in HP. Right? I was like, I'm really interested in working in HP. He was like, dude, HP to abhi hire nahi kar raha or sponsor bhi nahi kar rahe. But I have this friend in EY that I used to work in. So maybe ask them. Maybe let me connect you to them. And then he got back. He's like, oh yeah, they're not also hiring, but I'll keep you in mind. And I said, thank you so much. Khatam ho gayi kahani. A month later, he did keep me in mind. And he was like, you know what? They're actually hiring. So are you interested? I was like, yes, of course I am. Ek mahine mein kya ho jana tha? I was still a student, right? So my point is that what Tabarak said, that yeah, you're reaching out to someone and it's great if they say, oh yeah, my team is hiring, but more often than not, that's not going to be the case. More often than not, it's going to be, thank you for reaching out. My team is not hiring right now, but I'll keep you in mind. And so you have to be in their mind. You have to make that good impression so that aage ke 2 ya 3 mahine baad, they remember you, that this guy reached out to me, I love talking to him, it was great experience, or I love talking to her, she has great skills, let me get back to them. And that's what I would do too. If someone reaches out to me and I find them really, really good and really, really fun to interact with on the phone, more often than not, I would be like, yeah, nahi, sorry, I'm not hiring right now in my team. But 2 months later, something might open up, and that's the person I'll get back to, right? So that's definitely something. There's definitely something to keep in mind, treating each of those networking things. And again, with this networking, this is where I want to stress this really hard, that आप किसी को networking के लिए reach out करते हो LinkedIn पे, right? Your mindset should be, what is the worst that's going to happen? This person will not respond to me, right? Khatam. End of chapter. You move on. Even today, I'm not even joking, even today, if I see a really good role, obviously, with so many years of experience, your expectations changes, you have no visa issues, so your expectation changes. I'll see a role. My first instinct is not at all to apply to that role online. I'm telling you, even right now, my first instinct is to find out who the hiring manager is, who the technical recruiter is, ask them, what do you think about this role? What do you think about my profile? And more often than not, even now, they don't respond. And so big deal, you move on. Obviously, the ratio is a lot better now, otherwise it would have been a big problem, I think. But the problem is, you need to be motivated and driven enough to be like, this person, I reached out to 8 people this week, let's say, right? You're a student, you reached out to 8 people. None of them responded. Does that mean that I shouldn't reach out to anyone? No, it means you reach out to 10 next week. And maybe that 10th one person will respond. Yeah. And if you get 1 response or 2 responses every week, out of those, that means let's say in 20 weeks, you're getting 40 responses or 30 responses, right? 1 to 2, agar 1.5 ka kar le, 30 responses in 20 weeks. That means that out of those 30, do all 30 lead to interviews? No, that out of those 30, maybe 3 will lead to interviews. And now but at the end of the day, now you're sitting in March or April and you're graduating in June. and you're like, man, I have 3 interviews from companies who are willing to sponsor international students. You are already better than 90% of your class. I'm telling you, like it's that tough out there if you don't do the work, and it gets easier if you do that work, right? So it's a numbers game, but it's also an effort game. Like, are you reaching out? Obviously, if you don't get any responses at all in 20 to 30 outreaches, you'd be like, yaar main phir kuch galat kar raha hu. Let me talk to other people. But if you're getting like 1 or 2 responses every 10-15 reach outs, I think that's a perfectly good ratio.
I think that's a great ratio, actually.
Yeah.
So Taha, thank you for, I think that sums up the first half of our conversation. I'll open the floor to anybody. If anybody wants to ask any questions directly, please raise your hand and, we'll, and unmute yourself, and then, you can ask Taha. Before I open the floor, I just want to add that these networking conversations are also like your chance to learn about the company. Most of you are from Pakistan से आप इधर move कर रहे हो, you're coming to a completely new economy, completely new culture. इतनी ज़्यादा industries हैं कि आपको खुद नहीं पता कि कैसे काम चल रहा है. इतनी different type of companies हैं, even within certain sectors, tech में, finance में, healthcare में. So अगर आप किसी से भी बात करो, that's an opportunity for you to learn something new. कि यार ये फलानी कंपनी किस तरह काम करती है, इस सेक्टर में क्या चल रहा है, इकोनॉमी में क्या हो रहा है. For example, you're talking to someone in North Carolina. Maybe you learn something about North Carolina, कि Charlotte में क्या हो रहा है. So in those conversations as like, pieces of knowledge nuggets, I think that is super important as well. कि हर conversation नौकरी ही नहीं होगी, you're just getting knowledge, and वही नेटवर्क आपको हो सकता है 10 साल बाद कोई बंदा आपका क्लाइंट बन जाए, कोई आपका पार्टनर बन जाए, कोई आपका इन्वेस्टर बन जाए, या maybe you're investing in someone. So building those networks and those relationships is very important. So and I'll ask, so Jaish, why don't you ask your first question? Keep it short.
Hi Taha, hi Tabarak. Thank you for hosting this entire conference, and it means a lot. So I think my question would be like, since I'm going to apply for my master's this year, and probably when I land into the US, since Taha just said that you should start networking even before when you land. Like, what are the strategies? Would you recommend, as someone who's like been there and done that? What strategies would you recommend starting before and when you land in the US? Like, what would you recommend? And how would I find people relevant to my roles, and just like the entire process of how to start before landing in the US, and how I should start after landing in the US.
Yeah, that's actually do you want to go ahead with that, Tabarak? Actually, again, I can also add, but yeah.
Before you answer, Jaish, आप अभी कर क्या रहे हो? What exactly are you doing?
So I'm currently working as a consultant corporate immigration for a firm based in the UK remotely from Karachi. So we primarily help Big Four clients with global mobility.
और आप पाकिस्तान में पढ़ाई कहाँ से किया?
So I did my law from Denning Law School. They have this extended learning program from the University of London, LB. And then I did practice law for a while, but then I switched to consulting, immigration consulting primarily.
और US में आप कौन सी डिग्री से अप्लाई कर रहे हो, क्या करना चाहते हैं?
So primarily my focus is business analytics degree, and a degree more towards MBA finance or business analytics.
Okay, very cool. I can give it a crack. 30 seconds.
Yeah. You go ahead, Tabarak. And but just to add to, if anyone is asking questions, I think this is a really good thing, Tabarak. That in the first for 20-30 seconds, if you can just say where you studied from, where you're applying, it would just help keep the answers for both of us much more relevant and much shorter.
So Jayesh, मैंने ये किया था US आने से पहले कि मैंने अपना LinkedIn खोला, अपना Instagram खोला, अपने हाई स्कूल के अलुमनाई देखे, मैंने देखा US में कौन कौन है और फाइनेंस में कौन काम कर रहा है, और आने से पहले मैंने 30 से 50 लोगों की लिस्ट बना ली थी. एंड सिंस आई यूज्ड टू वर्क फॉर अ हेज फंड, हम लोग US की स्टॉक मार्केट रिसर्च करते थे, US की रिसर्च पढ़ते भी थे. तो जितने एनालिस्ट की मैं रिसर्च पढ़ता था उनकी भी मैंने एक लिस्ट बना ली 20-30 लोगों की, ऑन टॉप ऑफ आउटसाइड ऑफ पाकिस्तानी जो मैं पर्सनली सेकंड डिग्री जानता था. and then just started writing to them that, I'm coming to the US and I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'd love to connect. And most of them, कुछ दोस्त थे, कुछ जानने वाले थे, कुछ पुराने स्कूल में IBA के थे, तो I just had those conversations and that really helped. Taha, why don't
Yeah,
let you answer?
I would actually agree. Like, look at your LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. You guys know everything about it more than me. I definitely at that age, but look at how you can open up your profile and then start looking at. My thing was alumni. So I was in LUMS, so I was like, LUMS guy, I've heard there's an alumni network in the US. Let me just see who the heck those alumni are, right? Like, who are these people? Where are they working? I didn't start networking before I landed in the US. That was a mistake, but I started probably in my second week. Like 1 week in, I was like, I'm already late to this game. I want to start. But compared to some of my other classmates, I was super early, and they were like, "Bhai, tum abhi se kar rahe ho?" Like my Indian friends sometimes would say, abhi to hum aaye hain, let's settle down. I was like, no, there's no time to settle down. We are here for like a year and a half in these small, very crammed up degrees. So let's start doing it right now. So my thing was alumni mostly, like and so I would also say, like, zaruri nahi hai ki your school alumni, ye sab zaruri nahi hai. Alumni from university you've heard of in Pakistan. Pakistani alumni from your schools, the ones that you're applying to, that ones that you have gotten in. I think that the best time, I think the sweet spot to start is you have already gotten into a school, your visa is here, I-20 aa gayi hai, and I think at that time, before that you should have already started, but at that time you can really target these people and be like, hey, I see you graduated from Northeastern or UT Austin or Rochester or MIT or whatever, and then you'd be like, tell me a little bit about what is important. So immediately, even then, like some people have reached out to me, not a lot, unfortunately, so I would like that to change, but some people have reached out to me from that stage, and I have already been impressed with them purely because they reached out to me. Like, I'm like, this guy or this girl is like really motivated to do well here, right? So isliye, let me help them out. Let me just help them. Even if I can't help them materially, let me just talk to them. And that conversation, like Tabarak said, that's the win that you get, right?
100%. Thank you, Taha. And up next is Shayan. Shayan, why don't you?
Of course. Hi guys, first of all, thank you for the session. My name is Shayan. I'm a junior here at IBA Karachi doing a BBA. And my question is that, is going to grad school in the US the best possible avenue for making it to a big firm, especially for people graduating from a Pakistani university? And my second question is that, how did you compare the trade-offs of doing an MSc in finance versus pursuing an MBA or a master's in management or business analytics, apart from the fact that it gives you a better chance of getting the H-1B lottery?
Taha, I love this question.
Yeah.
I think the first question, I'll let Taha answer it. How do you get into a big firm? Usme my just 10-second answer would be कि यार पहले आप define करो आप career में करना क्या चाहते हो और फिर देखो कि उस side पे what are the best companies that you can get into, whether that's in the US, and your Pakistan experience counts for a lot. Taha ने भी mention किया था कि he learned a lot working at Mizan Bank, and आप लोग don't downplay your experience in Pakistan. काम वही होता है. अगर आप product manager हो, essentially आप वही tools use कर रहे होगे, but at a different scale probably. तो आपकी Python में और इधर की Python में कोई फर्क नहीं है. So whatever experience you're getting in Pakistan. Your second question was what? I'm sorry, I forgot.
How did you choose the program? Like, how did you
the program? Okay. Yeah. Taha, why you can answer के why did you choose MS Finance? लेकिन business analytics is not MBA. Number one. अगर आप 3-4 साल के experience है तो I'd recommend going for an MBA. If you want to work in finance, consulting,
STEM MBA, a STEM MBA.
Most of the MBAs are STEM.
MBAs are STEM now, obviously. Yeah.
But I did a degree in business analytics. I don't recommend it unless you are super fresh out of school and just really want to get to the US. Otherwise, अगर 3-4 साल का तजर्बा है आपका तो I would recommend going for an MBA. Taha, why did you choose finance?
I was interested in finance. I mean, so simple answer is कि मैंने finance के courses लिए हुए थे LUMS में. Some of them people would be like, "अबे भाई तो बहुत मुश्किल था, तुमने क्यों ले लिया? इसमें तो B आने का सीन ऑफ लग रहा है, तुमने ये क्यों ले लिया?" You know, B इसमें तो B नहीं आ रहा किसी का, सबके C या C+ आ रहे हैं. Why? But it was literally that I was interested in it, and I thought that this is where it would give me a little bit, because I was very indecisive at the time. But I know what I want to see myself doing in 10 years. And it's okay if you guys don't either. But I had a rough idea. Okay, these are the 4 or 5 things I'm interested in, and out of these 4 or 5, maybe this is what will give me, this degree will give me that broad base to sort of like start off with, but also give me those specific knowledge and skills and that American sort of exposure to these things. I think, Shayan, correct me if I'm wrong, but like your first question was more like, is the US still the best place to go into a big company? Right? Like, I don't know if that, because that's the sense I got. And correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't know. And the simple answer to that is, look, US is obviously changing a lot. There's a lot of like getting tougher on immigration. A lot of those news is going out. But one thing I really want everyone over here to know is that the United States relies on high-skilled immigration. They may not like it, but they need it, right? So people like yourself, if you are a highly skilled immigrant, I don't want to like, make it specific or broad. If you're a highly skilled, highly educated immigrant who is smart, who is driven, the United States relies on you. Okay? What that means is that they may make it harder in some years, and it is hard now than it was 10 years ago. When I was here 10 years, usse pehle aur easy tha, usse pehle aur easy. 90s mein to lottery nahi thi, H1B. One of my uncles recently was saying to me, कि यार हाँ हमारे तुम लोग लॉटरी में क्यों बैठते हो? I was like, भाई कोई मर्जी से थोड़ी बैठ रहा है H1B की लॉटरी में, right? Like this is the process. And at that time in the 90s, they would just tell their employer कि yeah, please sponsor my H1B, एक letter लिख देते. तो H1B चला जाता था, 6 महीने में आ जाता था. That's how easy it was 30 years ago. It's not the same way. 30 years later, पता नहीं क्या हो रहा होगा. At this point though, but broadly जो चीज नहीं change हुई है अमेरिका में, right, is that they love highly skilled, educated immigrants. And they love it more than other countries love it. So the secret to like the American success story, or whatever you want to call it, if you've seen the 30 years from now, and just giving a little bit of a digressing a little bit, but just like some statistics which I just work with every day, especially in Bloomberg, but also here, is that in the last 30 years, you would see a lot of Americans complaining how things have gotten worse for them. And some of them, for sure, that's true. But if you compare America to its peer economies in the last 30, 35 years, which is Western Europe, which is Canada, America has outperformed them in every metric, right? Whether it's employment numbers, real wage growth, stock market growth, every single thing. Uski reason ye hai, one of the reasons is that America is still welcoming to highly skilled immigrants. People want to come here now, whether that is a PR thing, a marketing thing, or an on-the-ground reality thing. But aisa hai. So if that, again, like I think that was part of your question. So definitely, yeah, you get a lot of really good opportunities in the United States. Indian students ke liye, it's still so hard to get a green card, right? Like they're 30 years lag rahe hain, pata nahi, whatever. Pakistani students ke liye, because our number is so much fewer. After an H1B, you get a green card. Tabarak, you will tell me maybe, but like 3 saal type aajkal chal raha hai, average time between sponsoring for a green card and getting it. So it's still very much there. The opportunities are there. But if you don't do the work, you will go back after having spent a lot of money or taking some loans, or even if you come on a full scholarship, aap kuch kafi sara time to zaya kar rahe hain, right? So definitely think about that in those terms. Like the opportunities are there. You just have to make sure to make it work and just like be ready to do that 110% for it.
100%. Thank you, Taha. Next question is from Abdullah Faisal.
Hi, Taha and Tabarak. I hope you guys are fine. My name is Abdullah. I'm currently pursuing business analytics. I'm in my 3rd semester at FAST. And I just wanted to ask that if you were in my shoes, what skills or experiences would you focus to prepare for some US opportunities, knowing that, you've worked at Bloomberg, Point77, 72 and BlackRock. So what would you do to gain some experiences?
करना क्या चाहते हैं अब्दुल्ला आप?
Basically, business analytics, data analytics, things like this, but obviously go abroad because market opportunities are a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I can, if you want, if it's okay with you, I'll. So just to clarify, Abdullah, you said you're in a third semester, your third year. I didn't get that.
Third semester.
Oh, so you're a sophomore right now. So you're a second year student.
Yes.
Okay, that's. I mean, I'm saying this with, again, I'm impressed that you're thinking about that in your sophomore year. I wasn't. मेरा ये मसला था कि यार वो course नहीं मिला मुझे. अब वो मुश्किल मिल गया है, मुश्किल teacher grading कर रहा है मेरी, like that. So it's great that you're thinking of this in these terms, right? I would say the first thing is, and it's you look at some of these online resources on LinkedIn, ठीक है, and say कि भाई what is, and literally Google search would give you there, Chat GPT would give you there, get you there even faster, and see what are the trends in data analytics and business analytics right now. I don't even have to say how important AI has become, but all of your projects in Fast I know is a really good school. They have a really good network, by the way, in the US. A lot of people don't know this, but they're amazing network in the US, especially on the West Coast. In look and find out from them. Even now, you can actually reach out to them. Hey, I'm planning to apply in a couple of years. Like, what are your company doing? What are you guys doing? The first thing is definitely do like Gen AI projects. Keep up with that. Literally, like मैं ये नहीं कह रहा you have to be an expert on it, but you have to know exactly what are the latest. जैसे अभी OpenAI released ChatGPT-5, the GPT-5 thing, right? What is GPT-5? Why is it better than GPT-4? What's the difference there? What is Gemini doing? A lot of these things. So AI, I really cannot stress enough, even for people who are not in your field, people over here who want to be financial analysts, right? Accounting jisko karni hai, every single thing you have to have your interviews, your every single networking call, उसमें आपका एक component होगा, वो कोई पूछेगा आपसे कि यार AI के बारे में क्या ख्याल है तुम्हारी field में. So one, as the Bali said, you want to know your field. Second thing is, what is the impact of AI going to be when you come here, or if you decide to come here, Abdullah, in 2 years or 3 years time, things will have changed a lot. But in those 2 to 3 years, you need to keep abreast of all of those changes. So any projects where you can do generative AI related stuff in school, I know you have that opportunity. I'm sure you do. I'm sure Fast is a great school in cheezon ke liye. So definitely pursue those things. And then, yeah, keep up with your alumni. You told me you're from Fast. I'm telling you, Fast ke yahan pe bahut bada alumni network hai. See who is in those pages. There's Facebook groups, there's WhatsApp groups, I'm sure. Join those as much as you can. Ask them. Because by that time you come to that stage in 2 to 3 years, people would be like, you know what, this guy knows his stuff. This guy has done these internships. This guy has done these projects. And so we're going to help him out. And this goes not just for you, anyone who's listening. Keep abreast of all of those changes in AI so that by the time you are applying and networking over here and landed over here, you are able to talk about it. No one's going to ask you to code and write write like a decentralized app and make sure that this is all driven by AI. No one's going to ask you to create a DreamBridge type platform as your first project. No one's going to do that. But they want to know, okay, what do you know about this field, right? And what are the implications of it?
100%, yeah. And मेरा बस यही होगा कि I'll add to that. Try to get as many internships as you can. Try to just keep yourself busy, and I think you're doing that by coming to this webinar on a Saturday evening. So that shows some initiative. So जो कर रहे हो बस करते रहो. Yeah, and Farid Bakhsh, do you want to ask? So next in line is Farid Bakhsh. Do you have?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Yeah, this is Farid. Thank you for such a session, and Tabaruk and my name is Farid, and I belong to the Rajanpur district. Rajanpur, maybe you run the campaign. Tabaruk, I saw your Instagram and the social link, and thanks for such session. And because you know the condition of the education of the South Punjab district, Rajanpur, how they are struggling. But in short, I go through some ask question and give wanted to get some suggestion. Actually,
Please.
I am doing fifth semester from virtual university. Maybe you know. and my financial background is not some good. I moved after inter from district Rajanpur to Lahore. Now currently doing in software house based client IT solution as a BD, targeting the cold email marketing, LinkedIn B2B and C2C, hunting the project and lead gen, USA market, KSA, Europe, such market, and with my degree, virtually the online, and we mostly do the preparation via LMS, recorded lecture, and then do the final
Yeah.
and mid semester and get the final subject. And my question, I uh, gaining many session from you and some another you recorded lecture, the director of the Microsoft, whose name Hamza, some of the you I very impressed. But I currently doing as a BD. My main focus is coding. I also doing some course agentic AI, genetic AI, Python, and web development, app development. How the business get from outsourcing, getting remote job, but it is possible because university virtual is a good university for getting any scholarship for master program or a PhD program. But my phone focus grab the one skill such as Gen AI, front and back end, or a BD as a business and or a product manager, and make the resume and apply the job through the LinkedIn, some another job portal, remote get job, then move to the another country such as first go in the UAE, then switch the USA and UK, and get idea and investment and launch the MVP to get the collaboration with the client. With this perspective, give me some suggestion so that I can pursue my future with no, I have such no enough money to move and quickly because everything comes slowly.
Okay, yeah, I can take that, Taha. So
Please,
इसमें
please.
दो या तीन parts से सवाल के. Number one is virtual a good university for your masters and scholarships. Bro, उसमें ये होता है कि scholarships हर university की अपनी होती हैं, and there are three kinds of scholarships I can talk about. Number one is you get tuition fee waivers at state universities. अगर आप research assistant, teaching assistant या graduate assistant आपकी job लग जाए on campus. For example, Georgia State University, Georgia Tech, UMass Amherst, Penn State Universities. आप ऑनलाइन सर्च करोगे आपको मिल जाएंगी. ये इन
Yeah.
यूनिवर्सिटीज में अगर आप टीचिंग असिस्टेंट लग जाओ तो आपकी ट्यूशन फी वेव हो जाती है. So that is one avenue, and you also get a stipend. So if you are really focused on getting scholarships, I think that is the route you can go for. And if you think, and if you want to take a bet on yourself, for example, I myself, I did not have enough funds to come to the US to pursue a $50,000 master's degree. तो मैंने स्टूडेंट लोन लिया था. आप कर्जा भी ले सकते हो. स्टूडेंट लोन देती हैं कंपनीज, एम्पावर फाइनेंसिंग, एंड द अदर वन इज कॉल्ड प्रोडिजी फाइनेंस. फिर एक तीसरी है डिस्कवर आई गेस, विच पता नहीं अब वो देते हैं नहीं, बट जी एटलीस्ट एम्पावर फाइनेंसिंग, प्रोडिजी फाइनेंस, यू कैन डू दिस. एंड नंबर 3 जो आपका बिजनेस वाला राउट है कि मैं यूएई जाऊं, उधर से कोलैबोरेशन करके यूएस आऊं, आई थिंक उसके लिए आई डोंट थिंक ईदर मी एंड ताहा विद द राइट पीपल टू टॉक टू, क्योंकि हमने वो काम खुद नहीं किया हुआ. तो योर बेस्ट बेट विल बी टू टॉक टू पीपल हु हैव गॉन थ्रू दैट राउट. आप देखो कि मिडिल ईस्ट में कौन कौन लोग गए हैं, एंड देन आई थिंक टॉक टू देम. सो आई थिंक दैट्स द बेस्ट थिंग यू कैन डू.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and all the best, bro. I mean, I like your hustle, and keep doing what you're
Yeah,
doing.
mashallah. Yeah, this is the fact that you are doing this hard work. I'm telling you, okay, inshallah, I think it will pay off. Like what I tell everyone in the US, whoever is here, is कि यार मैंने जिसको भी 110% देते हुए देखा है ना यहाँ पे, invariably I've seen it all work out. Like if and so that's so if you keep on researching, keep on doing, जो तबारक कह रहा है कि आपको इसी तरह से आगे बढ़ना है, और फिर इंशाल्लाह चीजें वर्कआउट हो जाती हैं उस तरह से. बढ़िया.
So we have final last 5 minutes of the session, and we have 5 hands. So I will let Rafi Ali Khan, actually it's Basim Mazhar. Basim, why don't you go first, and we'll try to wrap up in like 30 seconds हम जवाब देंगे, and then we'll wrap it up in 5 minutes.
There's also Tabarak, I see like some questions in the message. I don't really want to I don't know if you want to take at least one from there also if someone didn't get a chance to speak up. But yeah, like up to you obviously. How do you want to do it?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so Basim, why don't you go ahead, and then we can take one from the chat as well.
Assalamualaikum, Taha bhai and Tabarak bhai. Tabarak bhai, मैं आपको तो वैसे जानता हूँ. I really like your content. Taha bhai, love your stuff. Loved your seminar. I'm currently doing FAST. It's my first semester. I'm really ambitious about going outside, about doing my graduate from abroad, Europe or US, doesn't matter. An opportunity is an opportunity. Right now, what trajectory should I take that could make that realistic? Because right now it feels hopeless.
यार होपलेस का देखो, इसमें ऐसा होता है कि यू आर इन योर फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर. द फैक्ट दैट यू आर, अगेन हम रिपीट कर रहे हैं, बट द फैक्ट कि आप इस तरह की कोशिश कर रहे हो कि सैटरडे शाम हो रही है पाकिस्तान में एंड यू आर इन दिस सेशन, अगले 4 साल में चीजें बहुत चेंज होंगी. सम ऑफ देम विल बी नेगेटिव, सम ऑफ देम विल बी पॉजिटिव. यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि आप इन चीज़ों के बिल्कुल साथ चल रहे हो, इन सारे चेंजेस के. हर चीज़ को आप ट्रैक कर रहे हो, हर चीज़ को आप अपने आप को कैसे इम्प्रूव कर रहे हो. आई सेड टू समवन ओवर हियर कि यू नो आप Gen AI is going to be a big thing in the next 5-10 years at least. कैसे आप स्टैंड आउट कर रहे हो, आप क्यों डिफरेंट हो बाकी फास्ट ग्रेजुएट से. लाइक आस्क दीज ब्रॉड क्वेश्चंस जो मैं अगेन बोलता हूँ. मेरे आई मीन सम ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स विल ऑब्वियसली अटेस्ट एंड आई विल डेफिनेटली अटेस्ट. तबारक हैज बीन वेरी वल्नरेबल एंड ओपन अबाउट इट. हम लोग ऐसे नहीं सोच रहे थे अपने अंडरग्रेड में, अनफॉर्चुनेटली. काश मैं सोच रहा होता, you know, मैं सीरियस बता रहा हूँ. लाइक I'll try to be very real with you guys. I wish I was thinking about it this way. You have this now opportunity, not because of this webinar. हम लोग ने कोई ऐसी revolutionary बात नहीं की है, but like आपको खुद ये awareness अब आ गई है कि यार मुझे stand out करना है. और कैसे stand out करना है. मेरी फास्ट की क्लास में अगर 200 लोग हैं मेरे सेक्शन में, और यार सिर्फ 8 लोग जो हैं वो Gen AI पे साइड प्रोजेक्ट्स कर रहे हैं, जिनका एक GitHub पेज है जिसपे वो Gen AI के खुद से प्रोजेक्ट्स कर रहे हैं साइड में. बहुत रिसोर्सेज हैं. मैं सब, मुझे आपसे कम पता होंगे वो सारी रिसोर्सेज एज स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ कंप्यूटर साइंस. आप लोगों को वो सारी चीजें करनी है. यू डू दैट. मैं अगेन आई कैन नॉट स्ट्रेस दिस इनफ कि जब आप वो करेंगे आपके लिए चीजें खुलेंगी. वो नहीं करेंगे तो चीजें मुश्किल होंगी. That's about it. Like it's as I know I'm being super broad over here, but that's because you're so early into your educational career, right? So that's why.
तो मेरा सवाल ये कि होपलेस क्यों हो ब्रो? Like why are you hopeless?
Because I have been very academically weak, and I think I have lost a lot of my potential. What I was, जो मेरा potential था मैं उसे achieve नहीं कर पाया. That's
how old are you?
I'm right now 19 years old.
19 years old. Yeah, इसमें you might get that feeling even when you're 50, or even people who've made like millions and billions, they get that feeling as well, and you're just starting out. So I graduated with a 2.6 CGPA from IBA.
Yes, I know you talked about it in your Instagram. Yes.
Yeah. So और उसके अलावा भी I think I wasted a lot of my time when I was young, when I was in school. But I also think वही time होता है, undergrad is also the time to have fun as well. So even if you think कि GPA कम है या मैं academically achieve नहीं कर रहा, you have, you know, it takes 1 month to turn your life around, या 3 months to turn your life around if you think you're at that point, but you're also very young. So अभी chill करो. I mean, take it easy and try to get internships, try to talk to people, surround yourself with good people who want to, like, you know, do well in their careers, or find your cousins, friends, बड़े senior जो कि कुछ अच्छा कह रहे हैं, talk to them. And you know, keep coming to these webinars as well. So
इस वेबिनार में किसी की GPA 3.1 से ज्यादा नहीं है. सही है. just to give you an, तो इसलिए कोई ऐसा यहाँ पे चीज नहीं, हम लोग कोई revolutionary बात नहीं कर रहे. That's why I keep saying it's about your hustle. Like Tabarak is a great example of it, right? Like he's done this despite and he's been open about his academic struggles and what he found interesting versus what he didn't like to study. But things, इसको किसी ने यहाँ पे कभी बोला थोड़ी कि नहीं यार तुमने वो जो IBA में 2 सेमेस्टर खराब गुजरे थे ना, वो उसकी वजह से हम तुमसे बात नहीं करेंगे. मुझे आज तक नहीं बोला किसी ने कि यार जो लम्स में तुम्हारा, मुझे याद है 3rd सेमेस्टर मेरा बहुत बुरा गुजरा था, अभी भी याद है मुझे आज तक किसी ने नहीं बोला. बट दैट्स नॉट, बट अगर मैं उस पे रहता और उस चीज को नहीं ओवरकम करता थ्रू अदर थिंग्स, तो फिर वो हर कोई याद दिलाता आपको. तो आपको खुद नहीं आपको खुद याद रखना है मेंटली कि यार मैंने वो किया था, आई वांट टू लर्न फ्रॉम दोज मिस्टेक्स. बट उस बारे में आपको वो नहीं करना कि यार नहीं अब मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा उसके आगे.
All right. I think we're running over time.
Thank you, Tabarak bhai and Taha bhai. I really loved the seminar, and I hope to see you both again.
Inshallah. All the best.
Maybe if God gives me the opportunity, I'll meet you in person. Maybe as a big person.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank
So
you.
this is the last question from Rafe, and then we'll wrap it up. We have another webinar that starts in like 10 minutes. So Rafe, why don't you go ahead?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
Walaikum salam.
अच्छा सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन सिंपल है कि अमेरिकन यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशन लेना कितना मुश्किल है, और सेकंड मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है भाई, जॉब के कितने टाइम बाद ग्रीन कार्ड मिलता है अमेरिका में, और मिलता भी है या नहीं?
यार एडमिशन लेना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है। एडमिशन के लिए है कि बस आपको एप्लीकेशंस डालोगे तो एडमिशन मिलेगा। और अक्सर ये होता है कि यूनिवर्सिटी माइट नॉट बी द राइट फिट फॉर यू। फॉर एग्जांपल एक रैंडम यूनिवर्सिटी थी इन टैम्पा फ्लोरिडा, जिसकी रैंकिंग भी बहुत खराब थी, सारा कुछ था। मैंने कहा वैसे ही अप्लाई कर देता हूँ, एप्लीकेशन फी नहीं है। उन्होंने मुझे रिजेक्ट कर दिया एंड डूक ने मुझे एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, मुझे नॉर्थ ईस्ट ने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया। सो यूनिवर्सिटीज में एडमिशन लेना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है। दे एक्चुअली वांट यू एज वेल। यू जस्ट हैव टू नो कि आपको किस तरह की यूनिवर्सिटी में जाना है। अगर फाइनेंस में काम करना है, आई रिकमेंड गोइंग टू यूनिवर्सिटीज इन न्यूयॉर्क, शिकागो, बॉस्टन। अगर टेक में काम करना है, देन अगेन दीज प्लेसेस एंड आल्सो सैन फ्रांसिस्को या सिलिकॉन वैली के करीब। और अगर स्कॉलरशिप फोकस्ड ही कुछ चीज ढूंढ रहे हो तो टीए और आरए वाली यूनिवर्सिटीज ढूंढो। टॉक टू पीपल एंड इट्स आल्सो अ फॉर्मूला कि एसए में क्या लिखना है, तो अपना एसए अच्छा से लिखो, बताओ कि फ्यूचर करियर गोल्स क्या हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म, शॉर्ट टर्म, पिछली स्टोरी से कनेक्ट करो, गेट अ गुड जीआरई स्कोर इफ यू कैन। अगर नहीं भी है तो कई सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज दे वेव इट ऑफ। जीपीए अगर अच्छा है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं है तो भी कोई बुरी बात नहीं है। आई मीन आई गॉट acceptances with a 2.6. My friend, he had a GPA of 2.2 and this year he got a 80% scholarship at Georgia State University. क्योंकि जॉर्जिया स्टेट में बाकी बच्चों के वीजा नहीं लग रहा था, इसका वीजा लगा हुआ था। उन्होंने कहा कि प्लीज कम टू अस, विल गिव यू अ स्कॉलरशिप। सो इट आल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन लक एंड टाइमिंग एज वेल। सो एडमिशन लेना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है, नंबर वन। नंबर टू, जॉब लेना, दूसरा सवाल जॉब का था।
सर
ग्रीन
वीजा
कार्ड,
का
ग्रीन कार्ड।
ग्रीन कार्ड, अच्छा ग्रीन कार्ड ब्रो मेरा भी नहीं आया अभी तक। बट ग्रीन कार्ड का यूजली प्रोसेस ये होता है कि आप आते हो इधर अपने स्टूडेंट वीजा पे, आपको 3 साल का स्टेम ओपीटी मिलता है अगर आपकी स्टेम डिग्री हो। उन 3 सालों में आप काम कर सकते हो एंड ड्यूरिंग दोज 3 years आपकी कंपनी आपका H1B वीजा अप्लाई करती है। H1B वीजा अज्यूमिंग आपको मिल जाता है, उसके फौरन बाद ही अगर आपकी कंपनी आपका ग्रीन कार्ड अप्लाई करती है तो इट टेक्स प्रॉब्ली एज अ पाकिस्तानी 2 to 3 years मोर। सो इन टोटल अगर एवरीथिंग गोज टू प्लान फॉर यू अज्यूमिंग, तो आपके 4 से 5 से 6 साल लग, 4 to 6 years आफ्टर योर ग्रेजुएशन। एंड अगर
Which is a great time, by the way. Not bad time at all compared to some other countries.
Yeah. और अगर आपका ग्रीन कार्ड नहीं भी लगता तो मेरे ख्याल में आपका गोल शुड नॉट बी अ ग्रीन कार्ड, गोल शुड बी गेटिंग गुड करियर आउटकम्स। मेरा दोस्त है, ही डिड नॉट, उसका H1B वीजा नहीं लगा 3 साल, उसकी कंपनी ने उसे सिंगापुर मूव कर दिया। और वो इस साल ही हैड अ फैंटास्टिक, पहले उसे लग रहा था यार मेरी जिंदगी खत्म हो रही है, मुझे H1B वीजा नहीं मिला, but he had a great time in Singapore and then they brought him back and now he's working again in Chicago. So I mean, treat every opportunity as it comes and control what you can control. जो चीजें नहीं है कंट्रोल में, I mean, you can't really have an effect on that. But I mean, this was all from us. Taha, if someone wants to reach out, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Definitely. I mean, LinkedIn. I don't know if you've put my LinkedIn profile over there. So you can, people can message me over there. I'll try again. Maybe thoda time kam hota hai with family and work, but I'll try my best to respond to whoever. Tabarak, I'm going to spend like literally 30 seconds because like someone asked twice in the chat if we can answer. I think Zishan, this person's name is, I think he asked above as well. So the question Zishan is asking is like a route through visa, route for jobs, not as a student. This is, Zishan, actually this H1B thing that Trump basically targeted recently. This is the route that they're trying to target. They don't want people get, so H1B agar aap as a student yahan pe graduate kar rahe ho, Trump ke whoever, no matter what anyone tells you, ye $1 lakh fees that you heard recently, no aap pe nahi apply ho rahi, but aap pe apply ho rahi agar aap Pakistan ya India ya kisi country mein baith ke apply कर रहे हो और आपको यहाँ से कोई कंपनी H1B पे बुला रही है, that route is becoming harder. I'm not saying it's impossible, because there's another visa called L1. Tabarak has probably heard of that one, but like and you can go into like Google it a little bit and see that route. But generally that route they're trying to limit. If you're coming here as a student, आप यहाँ पे पैसे खर्च कर रहे हो, इनकी इकोनॉमी को फायदा दे रहे हो, फिर कहीं अप्लाई करना है स्कूल कंपनीज में, दैट रूट इज स्टिल वेरी मच देयर, एंड आप उसको आराम से परस्यू कर सकते हो, प्रोवाइडेड आप सारी चीजें चेकलिस्ट जो तबारक ने बताई एंड स्टफ शुड डू. But yeah, obviously there's so many questions. मैं लोगों से हर बार बात कर रहा होता हूँ. But yeah, like we definitely, this has been a really good session. I think, Tabarak, I've learned a lot from these people who are reaching out. And as Tabarak said at the beginning of the session, he said it to me off camera as well. कि यार अगर आप एक Saturday शाम रात पाकिस्तान में बैठ के ये explore कर रहे हो from two older people कि यार क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना. What are the best ways to network and pursue grad school and then the job market in the US? It means आपके पास वो drive है. Don't let that drive go down, right? आपको वो drive और बढ़ानी है. क्या सोचना है कि अच्छा मैंने अभी तक मैं ये चीज गलत कर रहा था या कर रही थी, मुझे आगे ये चीजें जो है वो ऐसे improve करनी है.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll share मैं इसकी recording भी I'll share with everyone. And I will add any other documents, references that Taha might have for you guys, resources. And I'll also add Taha's LinkedIn. Don't spam him, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. Thank you, everyone, again for coming, and hope to see you soon. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Thank you, Taha.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.